What's up, Eagles Nation? Welcome to week 9 of the NFL season. And I'm going to try to make this video a little shorter than usual. I know there's a lot of cheering going on out there for that. I am coming off a bit of an illness here, and I'm still kind of regaining my bearings here. You know, when your body fights off any kind of illness, even if it's a little minor bug like I had, it drains you. It just takes you out for a couple days after. Thank goodness it's a weekend where I could get some extra rest and just kind of fully get over this thing. Just one of those things, one of those little bugs I guess been going around. It's not COVID or anything like that. It was I even got the flu shot not that long ago, so it wasn't the flu. It was just some bug. The changing in the weather sometimes will do that, and you pretty much get knocked out for a few days, and so I would like to attempt to make this a little shorter video. Of course, a week ago, the Eagles blew out Detroit in Detroit. 44-6, I believe, was the final. And that's not even the most famous 44-6 final score that the Eagles have had in their history. Of course, they blew out Dallas many years ago when they had to win that game to get into the playoffs, and those other crazy things happened. What was that, 2010, I believe, was the year? And the Eagles, of course, at home took care of Dallas 44-6 that night, and it was a primetime game, and all the emotion was there in the crowd because everyone knew all the Eagles had to do was win that game against the hated Cowboys to win the division and get into the playoffs. And that's exactly what happened. And they went on, or I'm sorry, not to win the division. I think that the Giants won the division that year because the Eagles beat them in the second playoff in the divisional round that year at the Meadowlands. See that, Patriot fans? Huh? The Eagles were 2-0 against Eli in the playoffs. How about you? I know. But yes, the Eagles ended up that year, I believe that was the year they went to Minnesota and beat the Vikings in the wild card round, and then went to the Meadowlands and beat the Giants, and then lost in a close game at Arizona. And the Cardinals, of course, that year would lose to the Steelers in the Super Bowl on that Holmes touchdown, at the very towards the end of that game, that tiptoe, back of the end zone touchdown, Santonio Holmes touchdown, which was it was a great Super Bowl. That really ended up being a great Super Bowl. Just wish our birds could have been in there instead of the red ones. But it is what it is. But that was it. That was that 44-6 game down memory lane against Dallas as many years ago. So 44-6 here a week ago against Detroit. And the Eagles did what we've been yelling for them to do: run the ball and be more aggressive on defense, right? Blitz a little more, right? And don't let Jared Goff just sit back there and pick you apart. And the Eagles did both of those things. The Eagles were aggressive on offense, running the ball, and boy, they really ran the ball. That was quite an impressive performance by the Eagles. The offensive line, of course, but then you talk about, what Boston Scott, I guess he can score against teams other than the Giants, right? He's like the giant killer, right? If little tip for you fantasy owners out there, right? If the Eagles play the Giants and Boston Scott still on pick up Boston Scott off the waiver wire and put him in that week. He's had some big games against the Giants and now against the Lions. And we also saw Jordan Howard. They got him out of mothballs. They put him in there, and he's going wild against the Lions. So yeah, it was a terrific, real, kind of old school approach, I would say. I don't know if you're going to win that way every week. The Lions are really an inept team right now, and it really showed in that game. But boy, I mean, just old school ground and pound, right? You run the ball, you have success. Jalen, wasn't really putting the ball in the air too much. Made a few plays, though, with his feet, made a few plays with his arm, but really it was the running game. And it was the coaching staff. I don't want to say they listened to the fans, but finally kind of that light bulb kind of going off and saying, hey, you know what? We have these running backs, even though Miles Sanders is hurt. Well, let's see what we can do. Now, I don't know what that says about Miles Sanders, who I still think could be an explosive offensive player. But for whatever reason, they just don't seem to have a lot of belief in him or whatever it is. Because when he was the running back, they really were hardly running the ball. Now he's out. Here comes the running play. Now maybe they felt they had to do it. Maybe it was like one of those things, you beat your head on the wall so many times, eventually the bell's going to go off, right? Maybe it was just that and maybe just the Lions are just that bad, right? So it's like maybe it was that perfect combination, right? That perfect storm that developed, and the Eagles actually decided to run the ball, and they did so very effectively. And hey, they ran the ball in that first drive against the Raiders effectively, and then they went away from it a few drives later, right? Well, they kept to it this time. They kept running that rock and having success and increasing their lead. The defense played really well. It's probably one of the best games the defense has played this season. And I know the Lions aren't very good, but the fact that they were able to get a lot of pressure on Jared Goff and get some sacks, and they had a nice fumble recover for touchdown by former Lion great, of course, Darius Big Play Slay, who lived up to that big play moniker last week with that touchdown, and I'm sure it felt good for him to do that against his former team. And a great job by the defense, great job all around, and really a total team win. You talk about all aspects of the game, offense, defense, special teams. They did it all, and they did it very well to the tune, of course, of a 44-6 victory in Detroit against the Lions. And listen, hey, not for nothing, all three wins have come on the road, and it does say a little something when you can win on the road. And I know it hasn't been a very overly great season as a whole, but the fact that they have won 3 road games, which is their only win so far in the season, in Atlanta, in Carolina, in Detroit, I think that still says something about the mental makeup for this team and the coaching staff. You can win on the road. That does say something. It says a little something about the team. It shows that they're prepared and they're ready to play these games. Now you got to start winning at home. And speaking of that, of course, this week's opponent, the Los Angeles Chargers. It's still weird to say that. I always want to say San Diego, but it's the Los Angeles Chargers coming in to Philly this week, where the Eagles have yet to win a home game. And I was at one of those games, of course, with Big Slim many weeks ago against the Chiefs. And boy, the Chiefs, ever since that one, they have really looked beatable, haven't they? It's like, they just... They couldn't look like that exactly against the Eagles those weeks ago, but hey, it was just one of those games. It was almost like a Madden game, because it's like neither team punted. It was just really a crazy game, but Kansas City obviously did more with their opportunities in the red zone to score touchdowns than the Eagles did that week, and that's why they won that game. They were a little more efficient in the red zone to come away with touchdowns than the Eagles did. Otherwise, who knows? The Eagles may have won that game, right? But at any rate, the Eagles do have a home game, and it would be nice to get a home win. It really would. It's kind of weird that it's a 4 o'clock start, with the fact that, you are playing a team from the West Coast. Why are we starting at 4, kind of giving them a little help? It's tougher for those West Coast teams when they come to the East and they play a 1 o'clock game than play a 4 o'clock game. But it is what it is. What can you do? I guess CBS wanted the game or whatever, and they just made it a late game. I have no idea. But at any rate, it's a 4:20 or whatever kickoff at the Link, where, again, the Eagles are looking to get their first home win of the season, and I hope they can do it. Listen, as far as the rest of the season goes, there's been a lot of, up and down. There's been a lot of, talk and after that game about, well, maybe, if they can win some games, they can get a wild card and, at least get into the playoffs. And that all has to play itself out. I understand the Eagles have a very, on paper, and I'll leave it like that, right? Very, easy schedule going forward if you take a look at, okay, the Chargers are a decent team with a pretty good young quarterback, but after that, you're at Denver, and I know it's always tougher, to play out in Denver than not, but you're at Denver, you're playing a Saints team that doesn't even that won't even have Jameis Winston, so they're down to their, whoever's going to start in that game, Taysom Hill, or whoever, would be at quarterback. And then you're going up against the football team twice, the Giants twice, the Jets. Very winnable games. Very winnable games. Even though the start of the season looked like a train wreck, to this point, there are some winnable games. And, you talk about the draft capital. They're still going to have the Dolphins' first round pick, which looks like it could be a top 3 or 5 pick in the draft at this point if things continue to go the way they have for the Dolphins. And they'll also have the Colts' first round pick as long as Carson Wentz gets the 75% of the snaps, which probably will happen because they're in a chase, and particularly now with Derek. Knew it would happen eventually. With Derrick Henry, being out for the foreseeable future, they still feel like they have a chance at the division title, even though they lost to the Titans the times they played them. But they still feel like they have a shot, so they're not going to sit Wentz unless he gets hurt, which we know around here he's capable of doing. But still, he's probably going to get those 75% of the snaps, so the Eagles will have the Colts pick, and they'll also have their own first-round pick, and that's still good. I mean, even if you have 3 of the top, 20 picks in the draft, you're still looking pretty good, and that Dolphins pick could be pretty high. So let's say the Eagles do have some success the rest of the season. Maybe they win a good handful of those games, and whether they get in the playoffs or not, their own first round pick might go from what we thought about a couple weeks ago that could be like a top 5 pick. Maybe that becomes like a top 9, top 10, top 12 pick, but you're still looking okay because of the Dolphins pick, because of that number 1 pick from the Dolphins. And hopefully things continue to go the way they have for the Dolphins and they just lose and, things just really fall apart there, and we got their pick, so that's still looking pretty good. But back to the task at hand, it's win a home game. These fans need to see a home win, right? 0-3 so far in the season at home. There's been some ugly games, and some interesting games, but at the same point have not gotten that home win so far on the season, and they have an opportunity to do it. It's going to be a tough one. The Chargers, listen, they aren't playing at the pace that they were early in the season when they just look like gangbusters. They look like, at one point it looked like it could be an all-LA Super Bowl, right? At one point, right? Things have kind of thinned out for them. They've had some injuries. They've had some inconsistency with their team, with their play. Defensively, they've been pretty bad in recent weeks. They have been, giving up a lot of points, a lot of yards, and it's almost like the Eagles are catching them at the right point, but they're also a team that's a pretty good team, a solid team still, and they are looking to rebound and get a win. And again, the fact that the kickoff's at 4:20 or whatever it is, that kind of helps them a little bit because it's not a 1 o'clock kickoff on the East Coast. So it's not everything right for the Eagles' favor for this game. But I gotta say, listen, I'm not expecting them to run the ball the way they did against the Lions, even though the Chargers have a very porous run-stopping defense themselves, like Detroit did, and the Eagles certainly took advantage. They could take advantage of that again this week, but the question is, will they? I mean, what we saw a week ago, here's the thing about what we saw a week ago, was that like a mirage? Was that a smoke and mirrors show, right? We don't know until we see it, until we see them continue to commit to running the ball, to have drives where they are going to hand the ball off, where they're not just going to have Hurts pass, right? Listen, again, what was it that that I've said every week, right? What was it that the coaching staff has said early in the season, right? Put the positions in the best place to have success. Put the players in their best place to have success with their strengths, right? So obviously, listen, Jalen Hurts, this isn't a hate the Jalen Hurts show, right? Jalen Hurts, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I just don't think he has an NFL arm. And the fact that he doesn't read the field well. Now, he's a young quarterback, all right? And I'm not going to say this guy's going to be horrible because he can't read the field, because a lot of young quarterbacks come in the league and they have trouble, right? Particularly the mobile quarterbacks, right? They don't always survey the whole field before they decide to take off and run, right? It's like that mentality, right? It's hard to shake that. It's hard to shake that because in college, that's what they did. They come into pros. This is where you got to make all your reads. Defenses are better in the pros, right? It's still hard. It's almost like a little mental block that they have to get over. Now, if they're meant to be having long NFL careers, they'll get over that. They'll progress in their growth as a starter in the NFL, at the quarterback position, and they will start to make those reads. And some of those mistakes that were made earlier in their career can be corrected. The strong arm that's something I don't know if that could be corrected. So some of those deep passes that, listen, some of these receivers are getting open downfield. Jalen's just not hitting them on those passes. I don't know fully if that could be corrected. I do think the surveying the field deal, I do think that's something that could be corrected, and it's on Jalen to correct it, right? And on coaching staff to keep pounding into his head to make sure you're going through your progressions before you take off, right? Unless it's a designed run for the quarterback, right? So I think that's a correctable thing. I do think it's something that takes time. We might not even see it this season. Maybe that's something that starts to happen by next season, or maybe even by the end of this season. We'll see. But it is on Jalen, and that's on the coaching staff. But the arm strength, that's a bit of an issue. And that's where my question will continue to be for Jalen going forward. Now, again, I'm not a hate the Jalen guy. I think he's a real rootable guy. He's a guy that you want on your football team, right? As far as that mental capacity that he has, as far as him, wanting to be out there, be a winner, wanting to be that guy, right? And we saw enough of the other way over the years, right? He's a real leader in the locker room. He really is. They respect him. The problem is he does have some deficiencies that I just don't think can be changed, but some of those other ones can be. But we will see. We will see. We still have many games to go. We still have to – the total picture hasn't been painted for Jalen Hurts just yet. Even though some of the things have been pretty maddening, other things have been pretty cool, right? But we still don't have that total picture of Jalen Hurts just yet. And I, as an Eagles fan, am still firmly ready to give him the rest of the season, at least to see, okay, this is about seeing what Jalen Hurts is. That's what this season is. If the wins and whatever, the wins and loss record, it is what it is. But it's about seeing what we have in the quarterback and what we have in his coaching staff. And I know the results have been very kind of up and down to this point, and it is what it is. It's a week-to-week thing. I've always said that, right? It's a week-to-week league. You just, some weeks everything's going to work and everything's going to look great, right? And in other weeks, everything's going to look horrible. You're going to say, oh, we got to get a new coach. We got to get a new quarterback. We got to get a new this, right? It's a week-to-week deal. It's an instant reaction deal. And that's one of the things that makes this sport so drama-filled. I mean, that's what it is. It is a week-to-week deal, and the highs are high and the lows are low. But you kind of, in the same way, you kind of find that equal that equal ground right there, where you're not too low, you're not too high. This is where we are, and this is what we have to assess the rest of the season. Because it is about assessment this year. It is about getting a full assessment as the season, until the completion of the season, whether that ends in playoffs or not. It's still about seeing what we have in this coaching staff and what we have in Jalen Hurts. And we can make that ultimate decision after the season. But I think fairness-wise, that's where we have to give it. We have to give it the full season. It's easy to say, oh, yeah, Jalen enough. Let's put Minshew in. I'm not one of them. Minshew's a backup. Okay, I know he had a few good weeks there in Jacksonville when there was no pressure at all on that team. No, he's not a starter. He's a backup. He has a nice mustache, right? But he's a backup. He's not the future of the Philadelphia Eagles at the starting quarterback position. It just isn't going to happen, okay? I know there's Minshew mania out there, right? But no, he's not the answer for going forward past this season. It's either going to be Jalen or it's going to be someone else, whether it's someone they draft or a guy they bring in, maybe a Russell Wilson or something like that in the offseason. We'll see. That story has to be told. But it's not Minshew. I can say that pretty much for a fact right now. It's not Minshew. Okay, Minshew comes onto the field. He comes on due to injury or because of, like last week, because of a blowout one way or another. Then maybe you put him out there for some snaps at the end just to kind of keep him loose just in case. So that's how I feel this season is, right? As I said before, today's game, man, I want to see a home win. I want to see a home win. It's always great to get wins, but it's even greater to get them at home, right? With the fans in the stands there, particularly this season. Now everyone's back in the stands. Excuse me. And we have that full house there. And these fans deserve a win, man. It's been some years, right? They deserve a win and to have something to cheer for today. So hopefully the Eagles can do it. Will they do it? I don't know. We'll see. Prediction-wise, it's hard to make a prediction. You know what? But I'm going to say close Eagles win. Because we need to win a home game. Close Eagles win. Maybe something like a late touchdown or a field goal or a defensive takeaway, gets the win. That's what I'm seeing. A close game, a close Eagles win, and we further go into the season and further have some hopes at maybe getting in as a wild card for the playoff, but that's weeks down the road. I'm not even going to talk playoffs right now. That's still weeks down the road. Things still have to happen and shake out right. So right now, as far as this week's concerned, week 9, I say a close Eagles win. They get it done. They win their first home win of the season in the Nick Sirianni era. Of course, he gets his first home win as a head coach of the Eagles. The fans need it. This fan base needs to see a win at home, right? So let's get it done today, Eagles. Let's get it done today, Eagles. The worst part of these illnesses is the cough. The cough is the last thing to go, and it's like the most annoying thing. And then it just doesn't go away. It takes days, and it's just... God. Anyhow, we're moving on. Okay? So that's a little recap of last week, a little look ahead to today's game against the Chargers. Let's go to the last segment, of course, the Festive Four, right? The weekly Festive Four, and Festive went 3-1 last week after a 2-2 week. Festive rebounded with at least one more win. A 3-1 week for Festive, and Festive's hoping to make it 4-0 this week. Festive's hoping, and remember, Festive crunches the numbers. Don't let that look fool you. Festive crunches these numbers like none other. There's people at the NFL Network that don't crunch the numbers like Festive. Festive should be on one of those shows. With Cynthia Freeland, Freeland and the Fox. Right? Freeland and Festive. Right? Breaking things down. Right? But anyhow, moving on. Let's go with this week's 4-pack of winners again. The point spreads, we don't worry about that stuff. It's just pure winners. And Festive, first of all, in the Battle of Ohio. Festive like Cincinnati, because it's the orange and black thing. I'm on to you, Festive, I know. So it's the orange and black deal. Festive's taking the Cincinnati Bengals to beat the Cleveland Browns in the Battle of Ohio. Festive, I'll let it slide, Festive. Festive likes Dallas over Denver. Okay, a little low-hanging fruit there. Dallas, I guess Festive had to. So Dallas over Denver this week. Festive also, boy, we're going from Dallas to New England. Festive also likes New England against, Dallas and New England in the same week. All right. So New England over Carolina. And finally, Festive Festive, now you're going to get slim. Oh, boy, Festive likes Baltimore over Minnesota. This is like the rivalry week pick'ems for Festive. Festive is going with the team I hate the most in Dallas and the team that Slim hates the most in Baltimore. Slim, you and I, we got to talk. Again, don't let that look fool you there. So again, in recap, Festive likes Cincinnati over Cleveland in the Battle of Ohio, Dallas over Denver, New England over Carolina, and Baltimore over Minnesota. That's the Festive Four for Week 9 of the NFL season, and that's going to do it for this video. I'm going to give my voice a rest. I need some more lozenges. I need some holes. Okay, so I'm going to let my voice heal a little bit. I'm going to suck down halls and continue to get better, right? Continue to get better. And speaking of continue to get better, let's get a home win. Let's keep this winning weekend going in Philly, right? The Sixers with a big win last night in Chicago. Festive was very happy. Flyers took care of the Capitals in Washington. Mark, did you pick the Flyers to win? Because, Festive. You don't want Festive coming. So it was a good night last night. Let's keep the winning ways going today with a big win against the LA Chargers at home, the first home win of the season. Come on, Eagles. We know you can do it. As always, let's go Birds, and if you haven't already done so, make sure you hit the subscribe button to the channel so you always get, you want to do that, and also make sure you hit the bell icon, because now I can see it, because now you always want to get notified to future content from yours truly in this channel, whether it's talking Eagles, talking jerseys and hats. You just never know, okay? You always want to be alerted to it, so hit the bell icon so you're able to do so, and leave those likes, many likes, like, right? Keep that going, and until the next one, I will see you. Let's go Birds! I'll see you in the next one. All right, everyone, take care.